So our first presenter is Herzog-Olson. Come on up, Ann. Over here. Come on up. So Ann is the executive director at Social Venture Partners Minnesota. Her talk is going to be how to use the VC model to grow promising nonprofits. For those of you who don't know anything about Social Venture Partners, they do real good work and try to tap into folks from a philanthropic perspective and use that to grow various businesses. So what's happening here today, we also have a philanthropic, business-oriented speaker at the end, so I'm kind of bookending. And then in between, we're going to do advertising, events, and then sales. And so we got the two social benefit speakers. And so with that, I will turn it over to Ann. Ann, yeah, well, not shaking hands.
That's right. Stay away from him. Hello, I'm Ann Herzog-Olson, and I'm the Executive Director of Social Venture Partners Minnesota. There are 39 social venture partners around the globe. And what we are is we are a nonprofit that uses the venture capital model to help other nonprofits grow. We were launched in Seattle in 1997 and in Minnesota in 2002. Our model is always focused on two things. One is to help social entrepreneurs in the Twin Cities build capacity, and the other is to educate our partners, who are also our donors, on how to become engaged philanthropists. When you think of teens in our community, the statistics are quite staggering. Of the homeless in this community, 49% are under the age of 21 years of age. Plus, under 50% of the youth feel engaged to folks who can help them and adults who care about them. Many of you know about the achievement gap in the Twin Cities and Minnesota, where less than 60% of our students of color are actually graduating on time. We're number 45 out of 50 in the nation for this graduation rate. So we're trying to do something about that at Social Venture Partners by focusing on teens. We really feel like we need to lift them up. So we find nonprofits that are serving the teen community who are at an inflection point and ready to grow. We provide grant money and also support to the organization as far as functional expertise. So I'd like you to meet Amy. Amy's the executive director of Urban Debate League. Urban Debate League has some incredible outcomes and numbers. They applied to Social Venture Partners, and our team of partners got very pumped up about the model that they use. This is George. George is here today. You can raise your hand, George. This is not by design, but George was a social venture partner, and he's also an executive career coach. George was part of the due diligence process in selecting urban boat builders. He got really pumped up and jazzed along with other partners to help these teens. Urban Debate League works with the Minneapolis and St. Paul school districts to help teenagers learn debate. And if you know anything about debate figures like George does, these teens are 40% more likely to graduate from high school than non-debaters. So what we did with Urban Debate League is we found their gaps. George worked with other partners and with Amy and her board to determine their gaps in knowledge to help that's holding them back from building capacity. It included planning, other items, so I'm losing time here. But what we found over a period of time working with them, when we helped them build their capacity, they went from serving 100 students to 700 students. They went from 1.5 full-time equivalent to 7 full-time equivalent, and they tripled their income. So it was really a big success story. But as many of you in here know, when it comes to venture capital, it's a pretty tricky business, and timing is everything. So how do we determine that they're defined to grow? It's something that we work on all the time with our organizations and to build sustainable relationships for long-term success. We've been called the jet fuel to other nonprofits to help them build capacity. And we build this capacity plan around them for 3 years. We do checkpoints along the way. We really roll up our sleeves. George worked hard with Urban Debate Leagues to help them get to their numbers that they're reaching right now. We did our own internal research and found that during the 3 years that we work with an organization with grants and this functional expertise, we helped them more than double their revenue during 3 years. Now, can you imagine if that was an investment you made in the private market and could turn around that sort of cash? So it's a hard process and it takes a lot of work, but there are many organizations such as our current portfolio who are interested in doing this and who want to make a difference in the community with teens. So these organizations all serve teens. They all are in the Twin Cities market, and they're all building capacity and scaling. Again, we look for organizations at that point of inflection to help them build capacity. So we help them retain key staff, develop business plans, become financially stable, work on their board governance to make sure that their board is strong, and then they take it from there. And what we do is we bring together our partners are COOs, marketing people. They are professors and chair of their school board. We have presidents in our organization as well as people that get work done. So we bring together teens and adults, businesses and nonprofits to scale. I had mentioned briefly that we are a global organization. We're one of 39. That really helps staff in particular, as well as our partners with best practices. So we use a McKinsey tool that they designed for the global organization. We're all separate 501c3s, but the global piece is extremely helpful. We've got a big conference coming up in October where we're going to even learn more from each other. This is a slide. It's way more words than I told I would put on one slide, but we fit our plan onto one page, and I'm telling you folks, if you've done this before, it's a challenge. Our partners helped us with this, helped us come up with the goals. Today I'm here to ask you if you would consider becoming a partner of Social Venture Partners. It's $6,000 minimum, and what we would do is we build these teams to help lift up the nonprofits and help them soar and grow. So we look for both individuals and corporations who are fascinated with the model and want to do hands-on work. So it's more than just a hand out, it's a hand up. So we have a couple events coming up. Esther Goldberg-Davis is my deputy director. She's here today, and we will have information. We'd love to visit with you if you're interested in learning more about our model. Thank you very much.
Now we're going to, again, I said we're going to do kind of 3 business-oriented things and then go back to the philanthropic investment world with our last presentation. So Eric Sims is owner of Integral Media. He's going to be talking about the proven methods for successful advertising. Eric, where are you? Come on up. And anyway, I kind of thought, all right, so if we do some advertising, and then we go to an event, and then after that we try to close and sell them. So those are the next 3 here. Advertising first. Anyway, welcome, Eric.
So I'm going to show brief highlights of proven methods for successful advertising in newspapers and magazines. And yes, people are still using print media. Is it moving? Okay. Yeah, I'm Eric Sims, president of Integral Media, and for 27 years, we've specialized in helping our clients develop marketing strategies for them to profitably invest in magazine and newspaper advertising. And notice I use the word invest in the same sentence as advertising. As many of you in the room have experienced, spending your company's budgeted marketing dollars on advertisements may not have seemed like a good investment at all. This could be because your advertisements didn't generate the desired results, or because you were not able to accurately measure the results of your advertising campaign. We help advertisers invest in print media by taking a strategic approach to advertising, starting by identifying your target audience through in-depth discovery process. Examples of important audience criterion are age range of your customers, your male-female percent, average household income, and geographic locations. Once we identify optimal target audiences, we define advertising objectives. So we ask, are you selling directly to customers via direct response, or are you selling indirectly via branding ads? Are you advertising with a blended brand responsive approach, which is something we've come up with in the last year or so? The easiest ads to accurately measure response results are direct response ads like the ones pictured here. One is a collectible airplane and the other is a silver coin. They include unique 800 numbers, unique websites, or generic websites with unique offer codes printed in the ads. That helps in aid in tracking the response results. Here's Mike. We developed a strategy for advertising creative that will prompt your target audience to take action when they see your ad. So a well-written headline is very important in capturing the reader's attention, gives them a reason to care about reading your ad, and gets them to engage in the message you want to convey. Next, we create a call to action that compels readers to pick up their phone and call My Pillow in this example, or visit their website. So in this ad, we use the words "don't wait" to create a sense of urgency, followed by an offer for a 50% discount when you use the promotional code. Also, we found testimonials are a powerful way to deliver added credibility and increased response to print advertisements. Plus, we write ad copy that engages readers while giving them enough information to take action. Short sentences, short, clean paragraphs are just the best way to go. Another vital element in successful advertising is choosing the publications that best align with your target audience and that leverage your brand. Working with media buying companies that have firsthand experience with titles that are responsible help ensure profitable advertising results. So that's vital. Every week, we analyze actual orders from each individual publication with unique promotional codes. Then using a proprietary system, we forecast final orders and calculate the P&L of each ad. This data is then used to decide where and when to run the next ads. So the brand responsive ads have DR elements while honoring brand look and feel. So some responses are recorded via direct response orders and some need to be attributed across all media channels. Successful online marketers in particular use this approach in print as they are able to leverage the direct response techniques across all their media channels. The branding strategy. Brand ads usually have generic or vanity 800 numbers and generic URLs. The response results are not attributable to specific ads. The objective of these ads is broad exposure and awareness of products and services with the main goal to lift your overall sales and market share. Selection of publications for branding is based on studying demographic and psychographic makeup of each title's readers. This data is then overlaid with target audience profiles and index reports are generated showing which publications will most effectively reach the desired target audience. With a branding strategy, we need to evaluate the overall market share the client has before and after a campaign to determine the effect the campaign had on consumers, because we don't have specific codes in these ads. These overall market share measurements are done annually, as it takes at least 12 months to see noticeable market share changes. This is a visual to demonstrate the side-by-side differences of direct response versus branding. As previously mentioned, each ad it serves a distinct and different purpose in a marketing campaign. Which strategy you use is determined by your marketing goals. Direct response ads can also be effective in newspapers. These creatives contain some of the same elements as direct response magazine creatives and serve the same purpose. There's prominent headlines, the calls to action in here, and unique 800 numbers and URLs. Retail or local newspaper ads are responsive for local businesses. Typically, these ads draw consumers into businesses with published sales or discounted offers. Notice in these ads, the offers are available by calling an 800 number or even by cutting a coupon for redemption in the store. So at Integral Media, we align your target market with your marketing goals and create advertising solutions that optimize your return on investment. We use best practices when developing and implementing your campaign, and we're the experts, so you don't have to be. Our strategic approach to media buying leverages your ad dollars and gives integral media clients measurable results. Using the strategy and tactics outlined here, our clients profitably invest in advertising. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. So our next speaker is Kalsey Beach. Kalsey is president of Do Good Events. Event architecture, why and how to build a great event. For those of you who have met Kalsey, she's been working with me for a couple of years on helping make these events work smoothly, so thanks for your help, Kalsey. And she's also worked on a number of other projects that I've been involved in, and thought that it would be good to have you all hear how to put on a great event. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kalsey Beach.
All right, am I on? Oh, I'm definitely on. Okay. Awesome. I'm ready. Well, I'm excited to be here today. I'm Kalsey Beach with Do Good Events, excited to tell you about the how and why of building a great event. So we typically work with our clients for weeks, sometimes even years, on planning their events, but you're in luck. I'm a fast talker, and I hope to get you a couple tips today that you can implement, whether at tomorrow night's dinner party, your upcoming open house, a fundraising gala, things like that. In the United States, there's 1.8 million events a year. Attendees who attend events for brand marketing, 74% of them leave saying they have a more positive opinion of that brand. Companies hosting holiday parties, 71% of employees say they think it improves company culture. The economic impact is also huge. $280 billion in direct spending in the event industry in the United States, and over 2 million jobs created. A local example, last week we had 3 different events, over 1,500 people in attendance, and $150,000 in local economic impact. You may have heard of some big events going on in the Twin Cities that have huge economic impacts. Maybe you were out at the Ryder Cup last weekend. There was 1 million square feet of tenting alone, so tons of rental companies coming together. Super Bowl coming up, $300 million in attractions, 112 million watchers. This is huge impact for everything from our restaurants to our hotels to our bus companies, our printers. But maybe we should bring it in a little bit closer to people in this room and events that might impact you. All events of every size need to start with, can be very helpful for you. You may be building awareness, raising funds, building community, connecting with clients and prospects, appreciating your employees. I think some people in this room might think they could use some of that. Yeah? All events start with a goal. You need to zone in on that target. From the very beginning, bring together the key players. This might be committee, board, colleagues, and make sure that everybody's on the same page. Discuss what the goals are and write them down. Maybe it's dollars raised, people in attendance, media impressions, new prospects, but make sure you all agree on those goals. As you're doing that, start to define your audience. Define what might interest them or not interest them. Remember that your audience isn't necessarily you, and make sure to also think about some quirks that might go along with your audience. We had a client last year that thought the holiday time would be a great time to have an event for their clients. It'd be cheerful, lots of holiday spirit, and then we recognized that their audience was filled with snowbirds who wouldn't be around. So we made sure to eliminate that. So consider all those obstacles and hurdles as you start doing your planning. No matter how great of a job you do planning, if nobody comes, nobody's happy. So recognize things like different culture holidays or even Vikings games that might impact your event. Think about the comfort level of your events for things like driving or price point. All right, we've outlined your goals, your audience, and your challenges. Now it's time to start planning. From the 10,000-foot picture to find that what, when, and where. This is where you start building your event brand. Every event has a brand of its own, and the what, when, and where is where it begins. Venues, there's only one of every venue. Book them early. This is also a good time to start to outline your budget. You can make a line item budget. A little FYI, did you know the average wedding in Minnesota between $30,000 and $45,000? Whether you're spending $10 or tens of thousands of dollars, make sure you remember things like printing, service charge, parking, speaker gifts. At this point in the planning, there's still time to find ways to cut costs or increase ticket price so you don't have any surprises on the budget. Now it's time to build excitement. We always talk about promotions with our clients, and you need to build promotions with a minimum of 3 weeks, and sometimes obviously it's much longer. Consider using as many free electronic streams as you can. This might be save the dates, press releases, calendar postings, social media. But hands down, the best approach to increasing your attendance is with ambassadors. Consider who's already your raving fans and ask them to help with personal touches. All right, while you're doing this, make sure you're outlining plans B and maybe even C. Consider weather if your event's outside. We've had events flood before, so you need to know what to do if that happens. And make sure you get permits and things like that in line. If you have a raffle or a tasting event, you need to have permits in place. Also, time to consider revenue streams. Perhaps you have sponsors at your event. Consider who might be a good sponsor. Who are you already spending money with that might be able to support you back? Create mutual value for your sponsors, maybe with pre-event marketing or tickets to your function. And also start to solicit for those auction items, raffles, wine pull if you're doing a fundraiser. All right, time to book your vendors. Make sure with all of your vendors you have contracts in place so nobody has any surprises. You may bring some of your vendors in for interviews as well. This is when you're considering things like photographers, florists, live music, auctioneers. We had some more bar last week and a character artist. And of course your food and beverage. This is a great place to weave your theme into your event. You might have things like a signature cocktail or maybe put the logo of your event on your dessert. So think of ways to incorporate that. Little food for thought. At the average event, your clients will drink 1.5 drinks in the first hour and 1 drink per hour thereafter, and 5 to 7 bites at an hors d'oeuvre style event. Build out your timeline. Think about when vendors are loading in and loading out. If you only have 1 loading dock, make sure your caterer and your tent don't arrive at the same time. Think about things like that. Also think about when your activities will end. You may want to consider pausing your bars during your program or making sure that the servers aren't clearing in the middle of your fun to need. Sketch out your floor plan. Think about where your guests are arriving and where you want them to go. If you have a silent auction, you might put the bar behind it so your guests walk through the auction, everybody finds the drinks, and then they can put their bids in on the way. For a dinner style event, you're going to want to plan for 14 square feet per person. We often see people forgetting coat racks, trash cans, and outlets when they think about their floor plans, so don't forget those. All right, we're finally ready to execute the event. Be prepared, make a supply list and pack the day before, but most importantly when you're on site, be a duck. What I mean is you're floating on the top even though you're swimming below. Make sure you smile, you greet your guests, and everybody gets a good handshake. Afterwards, you get to take a deep breath, bring those key players back together for a debrief and a recap. Highlight the things that went well and the things that could be improved. Make sure you pay the balances with your vendors so next time they're excited to work with you and maybe even give you a discount. Write thank yous to attendees and sponsors, and consider booking your next event and beginning to market it while you have that momentum going. All right, that might have given some of you a stomachache, I wouldn't be surprised. Event planners are constantly rated 5th or 6th of the 10 most stressful jobs in the United States. So, if you need to, consider hiring help or at least asking for help. Lighten the load with a group of people. But I hope you took some tidbits away to help build a great event.
Do you want the lapel or? So, thanks, Kalsey. That was a great job. Thank you very much. Created a lot of buzz in the room, so nice job. Everybody's thinking of that price tag on that wedding. Anyway, Scott Plum is our next speaker. Scott is principal of the CEO Blueprint. He's going to be talking about the new business of sales, asset value transfer system. Again, we're kind of moving from advertising to events to now sales. And Scott and I have known each other for a number of years. Look forward to hearing him, and welcome, Scott.
Thank you. Thanks, Rick. I figured it out. I'm a duck. I look like I'm floating on the surface, but struggling underneath. Swimming underneath. There's a card on your table. I won't do anything more of an introduction if you want to take a look at that. All right, let's go time. Every person in every business has a unique identifiable asset value. That asset has maximum value only when it can be profitably transferred to another. The greater the value perceived by acquiring the asset, the greater the price someone is willing to pay. But it is only when there is a successful transfer of the asset that successful businesses can be built on asset value. Asset value is defined as your distinct and unique independent ability to solve a well-defined pain or complex problem that prevents a particular segment of your marketplace or industry from moving forward with velocity. Your goal for generating your own asset value is to identify and ultimately close what is called the reverse salient gap found in your particular market or industry. The term reverse salient is not new. It was first used by the military to describe a backward bulge caused by the enemy in an advancing military front. The backward bulge indicates a serious gap or weakness in a system. A business, industry, or marketplace is a system. In business, a reverse salient refers to the component of a system that, due to its insufficient development, prevents the system from operating efficiently, effectively, or moving forward completely. This weakness holds companies and industries back and prevents growth. The reverse salient is arguably the most powerful business force in a successful organization today, making it possible and more capable of taking itself to the next level and creating unprecedented asset value to further build upon. To build asset value, you isolate and subsequently solve the reverse salient that weakens a customer, market, or industry. That asset, your asset, becomes just as valuable as any physical asset you might own. Only 13% execute that strategy. 87% of entrepreneurs create products and services based on what they know. What they end up offering is a commoditized product where there is limited market need. This approach makes it difficult to find prospects and build a business because prospects don't see the asset value. Buyers who experience one or more reverse salients aren't interested in a transactional purchase. They are buying who you are for them and your ability to close their specific reverse salient. These buy what eliminates them from being held back, what is called the solution of a signature experience. A signature experience is an uncommoditized asset, a non-transactional event created by a unique ability to gain power over the pain of being held back from moving forward by a reverse salient. When that happens, a business has the ability to grow aggressively. To be successful in delivering reverse or signature experiences instead of selling your solutions, begin to deliver the experience of a resolution to the pain that is holding your prospects back. This requires a change in thinking, a paradigm shift to identify the weakness of an existing system. A signature experience is your asset value built on who you are for your market, not what you do. The world wants the experience of who you are for them. Your strongest asset value is in who you are for your marketplace. Thomas Edison's legendary reverse salient was solving the filament problem. The light bulb had already been invented and was missing this key element. Edison's solution to the weakness is the invention that made the light bulb possible. One reverse salient solution often leads to another. In this case, Edison delivering power to the light bulb created another reverse salient. George Westinghouse saw the same reverse salient and bet on the now common alternating current system. Identifying reverse salients is truly the billionaire's secret. It's what sets billion-dollar organizations apart from all other. Inventors and innovators who understand the reverse salient are able to capture large portions of an existing market. So when business leaders become complacent and take their eye off the reverse salient, the complex gap that the marketplace is demanding being filled, organizations falter and fail. Yet when they are diligent and are able to identify the weakness present in the market and can identify the reverse salient opportunities, they are able to create a unique asset value that can be transferred, whether as a new service or product. Remember the first day you launched your business. Has the way you looked at your business shifted since then? When you transform the way you look at your business, the business you look at changes. When was the last time you had a good look at your business and what you present to the marketplace today? Finally, the fact of 87% fail on executing their strategy. Confused, they continue to work on cutting expenses and liabilities and creating what they are familiar and comfortable with instead of building asset value by identifying reverse salience and delivering signature experiences rather than settling for the easily commoditized products or services. Thank you very much.
Great job, Scott. Thanks for sharing with us. A couple things jumped out at me. I don't know if you could see in the back, but the list of why businesses fail, the thing that on the top that was circled said no market need, 42%. So folks not really being in touch with their customer and what folks want in the marketplace. And then the other thing, who here other than me had a BlackBerry? You know, really, they had that market on the front end and just obviously made mistake after mistake and led to their demise in that space. Anyway, thanks again for speaking, Scott. Alicia Phillips and I have known each other for a number of years. She's president of Redwood Philanthropic. She's going to talk to you a little bit today about her new impact fund. And again, we're bookending the social investing stuff, which I find a very interesting topic, and I thought you would too. So please welcome Alicia Phillips.
Thank you, Rick. Great to be here today. How's everyone doing? All right, great. I want to tell you about something really exciting and courageous that is emerging around the world and country and here in Minneapolis. The new Impact Fund makes place-based social investments that break the cycle of poverty in the Twin Cities metro area with an emphasis on Minneapolis. We make social capital investments that incubate and launch entrepreneurs, expand enterprise, and bring businesses to scale in high-poverty Twin Cities neighborhoods. We do this by attracting capital at a scale that has not yet been unlocked by individuals and philanthropists, their families, and investors. Across racial groups, poverty in Minneapolis and St. Paul is higher than the national average. The face of the Twin Cities region is changing, and communities of color are driving growth. The Twin Cities are deeply segregated. Our community, our town. There's huge economic and structural issues associated as a result of this segregation. Based on just the data point of race, there's a huge opportunity gap. I'll slow down. There's a huge opportunity gap in terms of wages, business ownership, and home ownership. This imbalance hurts all of us. We've talked about changing demographics and business ownership. If business and entrepreneurial activity is an opportunity to generate wealth, micro and small businesses are having trouble getting the capital they need. In a recent study by the Fed, around 22% of small businesses applied for credit. Of these, 33% got fully financed, and half of the micro and small businesses received none of what they needed. Banks have sharply decreased lending with small businesses since the recession, and the challenges are even more staggering for minorities and women in terms of rate of loan denial, higher interest rates, lower access to equity, and limited access to bank products. In our initial interviews with small business entrepreneurs in high-poverty neighborhoods, we kept hearing the same stories, that the Twin Cities are deeply segregated by race and economic opportunity. And many of the minority-owned small businesses that we found were sole proprietorships in low-margin industries, and the current infrastructure just doesn't allow opportunities to do otherwise. And while there's a diverse set of capital providers, there still are significant gaps for small businesses and micro-businesses, and the new social impact area, why it's gaining momentum, There's not one lever pulling it together. It's still a nascent ecosystem. In summary, minority-owned businesses, they are smaller in size, smaller in staff, smaller in revenue, and slower to grow. In higher income areas, there is more small businesses loans deployed, and there are less small business loans deployed in low income areas. There are more jobs in higher income areas than lower income areas. However, it is a false assumption that loans are riskier to entrepreneurs in low-income neighborhoods. If they earn less, those entrepreneurs are not less likely to pay back their loans. The solution, as we see it, is impact investing. Impact investing is generating a meaningful social and financial return. It requires intentionality and measurability. Impact investing is growing, and it's focused local. The current market for impact investing now is $60 billion, but by 2020, it is estimated to be at $1 trillion. Millennials, how many millennials do we have in the room? Nice. Millennials are leading the way to building an inclusive capitalism around the globe. Over the next 40 years, there will be $41 trillion transferred from baby boomers to millennials, just in North America alone. There's a cultural value of millennials. They are wired for social impact. They do not see the world as philanthropy over here and business over here. It is one integrated system, and they are eager and hungry to improve society and to use business as a vehicle to do that. In the US now, there is $650 billion in assets largely invested in traditional instruments. More and more foundations are considering what's called mission-oriented investing. The leaders in the field is the Heron Foundation, my favorite, the Ford Foundation, Kresge, and MacArthur. Impact investing, while it's in its early stages, has already proved that you can have a market rate financial and social return. This can be done, it has been done. We can do this here locally. So why the New Impact Fund exists? We exist to gather, inspire, coach, and educate Minnesota next generation philanthropic leaders in their 20s, 30s, and 40s who have the desire and courage to put a stake in the ground and break the cycle of poverty in the Twin Cities. We connect and catalyze small cohorts of next generation philanthropic leaders through a cooperative investment process, working collectively with their peers to deploy capital in all of its forms, social, intellectual, and financial. Cohort members target an infusion of human and network capital at critical inflection points behind an entrepreneur in a community. We provide the guidance, tools, and structured environment needed to do this and to deploy capital. Cohorts, together, it's a safe and confidential space to learn, opportunities to invest smartly, opportunities to learn about the root causes of poverty and the economic impact of systematic racism. It is a peer-to-peer learning process that is curated, access to coaches, experts, and guides. We are taking the talent and genius of one group and putting it behind the talent and genius of another group so that they can grow and build wealth from within their community, so that together we build opportunities to co-create poverty. We've done one beta cohort in Minneapolis in 2015. Now we are we are focused squarely on growing a social impact fund here in the Twin Cities. Each member puts a minimum in of $100,000, and together in teams of 8 to 12, they work together to learn and to deploy their capital to an entrepreneur, entrepreneurs of color, women, and immigrants. We are very excited to do this with you. Happy to answer any questions one-on-one. New cohorts are being recruited and launched early in 2017. Thank you for having me.
All right, one last round of applause for all of our presenters.